no, no way. Oh, it's Sabretooth! Oh, look at these fights. Hey guys, what is up? And with the year coming to an end, I thought it was about time I gave you guys my top 10 films of 2024. This was a great year for film. There was a lot of good movies, a lot of bad movies. We're going to save our top 10, worst movies for another time, but we're going over my favorite movies from this year now. This might not be the same as your list. This is just movies that I liked, movies that I love, movies I went back and saw multiple times. And you might not agree with my list, you might not agree with it, you might have your own list, but this is my list. And with that, we'll start off with number 10, The Fall Guy. Yes, The Fall Guy, which I think a lot of people did not see. Mainly, I think, because the general audience doesn't really, I think, care about, making of Hollywood movies. But I enjoyed this one. This was Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, both coming off, Oscar-winning films in Barbie and Oppenheimer. And, we got to see a little of this dynamic of them during the Oscars, which was really fun. And I enjoyed this movie. This movie was so fun. If that's, to the comedy, to the action, and just the overall, way in making a movie, I loved it, where it's everything just goes wrong in a movie, and I loved it. And of course, Aaron Taylor Johnson, of course, was great in there. One of my favorite scenes from The Fall Guy, though, is the scene where Emily Blunt is throwing Ryan Reynolds against the rock and asking him about the relationship, and I thought that was genius to show this is a movie isn't always shot in just one take; it's multiple takes, but it's also a very good comedic scene. And I put it at number 10 because there's a lot of other movies I really love, but I just want to put this on the list because I really love this film, and I hope you guys have been able to watch the movie because it is so great. And I love just the dynamic of Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling. I think they're just absolutely, great. I want to see more of them actually in movies. I want to see them team up more, because I think they're a really strong duo. And I think David Leitch, I think he made one of his best movies he's made. I love David Leitch as a director, but, I love that he got to make a movie about stunts and stunt people, which we should have a stunt category at the Oscars. That should be a category. I really hope the Academy one day fixes that, but overall, Fall Guy falls to number 10 on my list. Next one is number 9, Civil War. This movie was, like I said in my review for it, it's a really good movie, but it's terrifying to watch because it becomes so close to reality. The main concept of Civil War is that this is in on an altered history world where, there's a part of the United States at war with the main part of the United States because there's a president who is very much like someone else out there. I'm not going to say his name because some of you might support him and some of you might not support him. But I thought this was a terrific movie, and this movie actually introduced me to Cailee Spaeny, which she has another movie on this list that I really loved as well. And also Kristen Dunst, she was great in it. And also this movie, of course it takes place in an alternate, past or future, where we're at war with each other in our own country, but it also captured the essence of war photography. Something I didn't think it would really do in the film, and I really love that. How, there's a line in the movie where Kirsten Dunst says, "Every time I went to war, I thought we were sending a message, don't do this, don't do this." And then she comes home and it's happening on her home turf. Very powerful how these journalists, are affected as much as the soldiers because they see things as much as soldiers, but they in the moment have to capture it. And it told about, how does someone, a photographer, especially a war photographer, stay in the moment and capture someone's horrific death or injury? How do they go through that? And I thought that was really interesting. And I think Cailee Spaeny was great in the movie. And one of the best scenes in the movie, which is the most, heart-pounding, oh my gosh scenes, is the one with Jesse Plemons, and you see, what kind of American are you? That scene was oh my god, so so like riveting. It was so good because you're on the edge of your seat watching this because like I don't want this character to die, and you know what type of person that character is, and it's like oh so great. So number 9, Civil War, and number 8, Furiosa. I was very very excited for Furiosa as a fan. As a more recent fan of the Mad Max films, I was excited. You had a really interesting cast. You had Anya Taylor-Joy playing Furiosa, but you had Chris Hemsworth playing the villain of this movie. And the thing is, Chris Hemsworth, I think, is known as Thor. He's really much the guy who plays Thor. He does a lot of action movies as well. If you look at Extraction and you look at the Men in Black, but I've never really seen a really great acting performance from him. I've never really seen him dive deep into a character. He was great as this villain. I think it was Dementus. Dementus, oh, he was so great as Dementus. I remember watching the movie because I was on vacation for a month before, the movie came out. So I didn't get to see the movie till much later. So when I went to go see it, I'm like, okay, I know this movie didn't make a lot of money, but I'm going to go see it in the theaters. Because I feel like I had to go see this movie in the theaters. I love Dementus. I love, the story of revenge for Anya Taylor-Joy's Furiosa. And I love that it kind of linked to that, the Fury Road, which, I think Fury Road is one of the most, beautiful films I've ever watched, especially that whole hurricane sequence and, kind of, the ending of that film is so great. I do think it was not as great as Fury Road, but still, captured the essence of that Mad Max world. And honestly, after the movie, I would love to dive more deep into the world, but I don't think with the box office return on this, that they're going to have Warner Brothers are going to want anything to do with making another Mad Max movie. But I just thought it was a really great movie. I love its stories of revenge, and I think George Miller did it really excellent, but he also added some things to his world that were really interesting to know, because now that when you watch Furiosa, you'll watch back Mad Max Fury Road, you're going to notice different things while you're watching the film. And I really love that, how, one film can make you look at characters and people differently in a film he did before. That was really cool. And that's why Furiosa is number 8. Number 7, Transformers 1. Now, I've told you guys in the past, I am a huge Transformers fan. I love Transformers. And I was excited for Transformers 1. I was excited. Sadly, it was not very much a success at the box office, even though I saw it 3 times. I thought it was a very enjoyable film. I do not think it's the best animated film this year. I don't. I really wanted to say that, but there's so many great animation films this year that I think, it kind of lost out to that. But Transformers 1, I loved the story. It was what I always wanted from Transformers. The origin story of Optimus and Megatron, seeing their beginnings. I had known their beginnings because I had watched Transformers Prime when I was a kid, so I kind of knew about Orion Pax, but, I love the story how they end up as friends and end up as enemies. I think it's one of the most emotional Transformers movies. I think it's the best representation we've ever gotten, in my opinion, in movie form of Optimus, Megatron, and also including one of my fan favorite characters, Alita 1, and I think another great performance by Chris Hemsworth. When they said Chris Hemsworth was playing Optimus, I was like, I don't know about that. I can't really imagine Chris Hemsworth as Optimus. And when I was watching the film, throughout the film, his voice became more Optimus-like. I'm not going to say more Peter Cullen-like, because you should never try to imitate the person who did it before. And I think they did a fantastic job. I think he also did a fantastic job. It's not trying to imitate Peter Cullen, but trying to be the best Optimus he could be. And at the end of that film, I really felt like Chris Hemsworth could voice Optimus Prime for many years to come. Now, it's sad that this movie got derailed because it's so great. It's the best Transformers movie they've made. But I think the real reason is because the trailers and marketing was terrible for the movie. Even though the movie is really great, I would love a sequel. I don't think it's going to happen. Josh Cooley, the director of the Toy Story films, at least the last few, did an excellent job with these characters. And I love that they were also honoring the legacy. We made this for a new generation, but we also want to honor those people who grew up with Transformers. So that's why number 7, I have Transformers 1. At number 6, I have The Wild Robot. I'm going to be honest, guys. I didn't care about this movie when they announced it, and the trailers, I was like, the trailers are cute. It's a cute little movie. I never was really excited for it. So with great hesitation, I went to go see it. I'm like, okay, it's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me check it out. This movie broke me. It broke me. When a movie can break you in a way this movie does, it's great. The one thing I will say that broke me was, I think, Pedro Pascal's. I think he played Finch. There is a scene in the movie, if you've already seen it, where he says, I don't want to be alone. I bawled when he said that, because I'm just thinking about it, it's making me bawl, because that's something I think a lot of people can relate to. Not wanting to be left behind by friends, not wanting to be forgotten. That broke me, and I love that the main essence of this story was about a mother and a son accepting that those are their roles. I love it. It's not just a robot, fighting robots with a bunch of animals in there. It's a story. It can be a story about humanity, about motherhood, about being a son, being a father, a mother. It was such a great movie, and the music as well, was great as well. And of course, they're making a sequel. I think it's absolutely amazing. It is my pick for the best animated film this year. I pick it to win the Oscar for Best Animated Film at the Oscars this year. I know a lot of you are going to say Inside Out 2. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, Inside Out 2 is not on this list. I have not seen the movie yet. I have not watched 1 or 2. It's not because I don't want to watch it. It's just because, I haven't really gone around to that. And when Inside Out 2 was coming out, like I said before, I was on vacation. So I really never got a chance to see it. But I know a lot of people love that movie, and it's mostly on a lot of people's list, but it's not on my list. And with that, I think The Wild Robot deserves to be at number 6. And now we're going to move on to number 5. Number 5, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, it's at number 5 spot. Yes, I know a lot of people are probably going to say, this is a top 3 movie of the year. I like the movie. I love the movie. But this movie also, I think, relies on nostalgia. The cameos really make the movie, and if you really look at it full picture, it's not the strongest story. It's, not the strongest Deadpool story in my opinion. But I love this movie. I saw it 4 times. So I love the movie. I love Gambit. I love Deadpool. I love Wolverine. I love Blade. I love X-23. I love all these characters in this movie. And as an X-Men fan, as a guy who grew up with those 20th Century Fox movies, seeing Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman honor the legacy of those films, warmed my heart, because I have to say, I would watch the X-Men movies over and over again as a kid. I would watch all of them so many times, even the really bad ones, because I enjoyed them. I enjoyed those characters, and I enjoyed that time in my life watching those movies. And them to just honor that, finally giving Hugh Jackman the yellow suit, having Madonna bringing back Let There Be a Prayer, it's so great, and I love it. And it's not going to win any awards. I'm going to say that. It's not going to win any awards, but it brought me back to when I was watching those 20th Century Fox films with the X-Men, with, Cyclops, Jean, Storm, and Wolverine. And, I really love that Sean Levy was able to capture that essence. And I also love that. I also love, for a Marvel movie, it was very, very great. It was so great for a Marvel film to finally, be great again. It restored, I'd say, a lot of my faith back in the MCU when I thought the MCU was at a very, very low point. And that's why I have it number 5. Number 4 is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I love this movie. I was hesitating to put this in my top 3 just because I love the movie so much. Just because it's a fun time at the movies. But I didn't, because I'm like, okay, my top 3 are it was really, really hard to get these top 4 films up there. I'm like, I gotta move someone down, so I gotta put Sonic 3 there. I don't just love that this is a great movie. I love this is just honoring the game. We get a lot of video game movies nowadays that do not honor the video games that they are based on. If you look at, the new Yakuza TV show, you look at, the new Tomb Raider show, very much mixed reactions to those. I think the Sonic movies have really proven that, you can adapt video game material. I think it really does show that. And, I think, they introduced one of my favorite characters of all time, Shadow the Hedgehog, played by Keanu Reeves. And of course, I loved him. The one thing I will say that I love, that makes me love this movie, is Act 3. Act 3 with, playing Live and Learn with, spoiler alert, Super Shadow and Super Sonic taking on Gerald Robotnik and his big arc, reactor, space station, whatever it is. Them fighting together was so great. I love that movie. Act 3 is great. And of course, Jim Carrey. I still believe this is the best Jim Carrey Sonic performance. I think he was great. Playing two Robotniks, I think, was absolutely perfect. And that's why I put Sonic at number 4. At number 3, Wicked Part 1. To be honest, I was excited for Wicked. I was excited for it. I had it on my top 5 most anticipated list. I had it at number 5 for my 2024 most anticipated. I went into thinking, okay, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it because I'm not a musical guy. I love musicals like The Greatest Showman, but there's some musicals I don't like it because, sometimes I just want to watch the movie. Sometimes when I'm watching musical shows like Glee, I'm just skipping through the music. So I'm I get it. It's a song. I get why people love Wicked now. The songs are so great. The songs are so impactful and empowering. And, I love that when I went to go see it, the audience, did not sing out loud. I know people want to sing. That's why they got the sing-along screens going right now. But I love that I was able to experience this like it was a play. We're just sitting quiet and enjoying the movie. And I remember when the movie finished, I clapped because Cynthia Erivo, oh my gosh, was great. I had never seen Cynthia Erivo in anything before. I'm okay, and I loved her. I think, she was great. She's one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard is her voice. And then another thing, Ariana Grande. I thought when they announced Ariana Grande was going to be in this movie, I thought this movie is going to stink doo-doo. I get it, put a pop star in the movie. Maybe pop stars like Lady Gaga, Dua Lipa have been really getting into movies. Of course, you got Lady Gaga being probably the biggest one. I'm okay. Ariana Grande, I'm not a fan of her music, I remember as a kid seeing her on Nickelodeon shows like Victorious and Sam and Cat, but I'm I never really thought okay, can she really be a great actor? Can she be enjoyable in the movie and not take so much away from Cynthia Erivo, but not also have her outshined by a talented actress? She was my favorite part of the movie. I loved her because her comedy was on point, she was great, and those two, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, I think they make the film. I think, the relationship, of these two, how much, how much they are friends of each other in the movie. How much they come together. And of course, every song is right, if that's to Jonathan Bailey's number, if Dancing Through Life, I love that song too. I went home after the movie and for probably 2 to 3 weeks, I was just listening to Dancing Through Life, Defying Gravity, Popular. I love the songs. And I love, that, we get another part of the movie. I remember when it ended, I'm oh no, I want this right now. But Wicked Part 1 is at my number 3 spot. I love that movie. At number 2, this might surprise you, Alien Romulus. When Alien was coming out, I gave 2-0 poops for the Alien franchise. I was not a fan of Prometheus. I did not like Covenant. I thought they were way too much here's the lore of the alien, and they turned into action movies instead of horror movies. And then they announced Alien Romulus. I'm okay, that could be interesting, Hey, it's about, this group of kids who go up, you're we're going to go steal some hibernation chambers. And, okay, I guess it'll be good. This movie is freaking fantastic. It is so good. Why it's so good? Because it goes back to the roots of the Alien franchise. It captures the horror. I am someone who gets very scared easily. I cover my ears when something's about to be scary. I swear, I covered my ears almost every second of this movie. And that third act with the human hybrid xenomorph, one of the most scariest looking aliens I have ever seen. So scary. And of course, like I said earlier about Cally Spaney. Cally Spaney is a great movie. But the one who steals this movie is David Johnson. He is so great as Andy the android. This movie made me even more excited for Alien. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to go into dive in all this Lord Alien. You know, I want more of this. I want more of Rain and Andy. I want to see where their adventure goes next. And I love that the movie focused on practical. Oh, like you can tell when something's CG, but in this movie, I barely noticed the CGI. Only when you're like outside in space with the ships is that CGI. And you know, with the budget of this movie being very, very low, I was surprised, you know, how good it looked and how good Fede Alvarez did with capturing that spirit of the original Alien movies. And this is, I don't know, I think this might be my second favorite Alien they've made. Nothing can pass Aliens for me. James Cameron's Aliens, you know, that's will always be my favorite Alien movie. But number 2 on the list is Alien Romulus. And my favorite movie this year, my number 1 movie, my number 1 is Dune Part 2. I still think right now that Dune Part 2 is a perfect movie. I've watched it about like 20 to 15 times by now. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's like I can't point out anything wrong with it. And when they cast Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, I was like, can Timothée Chalamet really be this, you know, leader? Can he really like be Paul Atreides, like this leader who can lead people? Because like, you know, I look at him and I'm like, I don't see a leader. I see like a really rich kid just a really rich kid. You know, that's kind of what I see when I look at him in Part 1. But the thing that changed my mind about Timothée Chalamet was the speech to the War Council, which I regard as one of the best speeches in a movie in the past decade. You know, when he goes in there, you know, he's finally become, you know, the Assalam Ghalib. You know, he's become their prophet, their savior. And when he's in there, you know, speaking to all these Fremen who could literally kill him, and he's like saying, I will lead the way. Chills. Literal chills. And then then the final fight between him and Austin Butler was one of the most greatest knife fights I've ever seen, you know, where it's like, hello, brother, and the fight like, oh my god, the sound, the cinematography, Denis Villeneuve's direction. If I didn't love Dune before, I love it now. This movie is the best movie of the year. Some of you might say it's not. I still believe that this is a perfect movie, and I don't say that. I will say movie's good, okay. Like I said, I cannot find any faults with this movie because Dune Part 2 is the perfect movie. It is the best movie this year. In my opinion, I hate that it's not getting any recognition during this award season. I think it is the only movie that should win Best Picture. It's not going to win Best Picture. I'm going to tell you that because it came out too far away from the Oscars. And that really hurts me because I believe, you know, this movie's better than Dune 1, which Dune 1 was already my favorite movie of all time. Dune Part 2 is now my favorite movie of all time. There's nothing, I don't know how he's going to top it with Messiah. I don't know if he can top it. Like, I think Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors working today, along with Nolan, Tarantino, and Spielberg. Any movie Villeneuve makes now, I'll go see. And Timothée Chalamet is probably the best actor. I think he's about to be the best actor in the world. You know, every time I see him on screen, he's amazing. He's great. You know, I love Timothée Chalamet. I think, like a lot of people say, I think he actually is the next Daniel Day-Lewis. And that's why Dune Part 2 is my number 1 movie of the year. But what did you guys think? This is my top movies of 2024. You might have different lists, but this is my list of all my favorite movies this year. Guys, make sure you leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, and I'll see you guys on our next one. Peace.